So, in lesson two of this chapter, we're going to take a look at a fifth thing that helped us become an industrial nation, that helped us become the largest and the strongest economic power in the modern world. And that fifth thing that we'll look at are railroads. Remember that yesterday we had the first four. We took a look at natural resources, inventions, a large workforce, and laissez-faire economics. Now we're adding railroads to the mix. And railroads, you had begun studying them last year with the Transcontinental Railroad. This year, we're going to look at it a little bit different because there were so many new railroads being built. And the beauty of that is that it costs a ton of money to build them, but they use a ton of materials to get built, which puts a lot of people to work, whether that's mining coal or making steel and so on. In fact, all of these railroads that grow up around America, what makes them unique is that it's a bunch of smaller railroads that get merged into larger and larger and larger railroads. Why does that matter? Because two things happen when a railroad becomes really large. The first is that it's more efficient. The prices of goods that are shipped on that railroad will drop as the cost of shipping on that railroad drops. The second thing is that we increase the size of markets for the different products that we have out there to sell. Especially when you are making something, let's say here in Pennsylvania, and you want to sell it in California, well, now you can do that, and you can do it quickly. You don't have to send it on some ship all the way around the entire ocean. You can just put it on a train, and off it would go. This is really going to lead to some crazy changes being made and even some regulations on industry that we've never seen before, with things like time zones, as silly as that might seem, because we want to be able to keep scheduling across a huge country and safety as important things for our government to take care of in our economy. These railroads themselves, they don't just get built up overnight. They don't just magically happen, right? Like, where does that even come from? How does a government even encourage people to build railroads? And how do you even know where to build a railroad? And the answer there is actually pretty simple. It's called a land grant. And the way it works is like this. The government in Washington, D.C., the federal government, says, we're going to give big chunks of land to railroad companies. And the railroad companies can do whatever they want with that land. They can sell it, for example. So think about it like this. You're a railroad owner, and you have a huge grant of land. You're going to want to sell that land to farmers who are going to put their fields down next to your rail line because they want to ship their crops on your trains. They're going to sell those land grants to factory owners who are going to want to put their factories on your land grants because it's close to the railroad. They can ship their products across the country. And what happens is when you give these huge areas of land to these railroad companies, yes, they will sell them to these different farmers and business owners and factory owners, and they'll take the money from that and they will build their railroads using that money. But we also need to understand that corruption will happen when you're dealing with huge amounts of money like this. We're going to see people bribing officials to get more and more land grants, to sell more and more land to get more and more profit. You're going to see taxpayer dollars wasted on railroads that go out of business. You're going to see some people during the Second Industrial Revolution become ridiculously wealthy over selling land grants, like Cornelius Vanderbilt, who does it. And we're going to even see a new name for these people that loot everything related to an industry, where they take and take and take for themselves, and they give very little back. We're going to see them called robber barons. And so as these railroads grow up, not only will there be very powerful people, but there will be very powerful companies because they have control to so much land and so much wealth. But I don't want you to think that everyone that's doing this is a robber baron. That's not true. They don't all loot industries and give nothing back. There are others that really do give back to the industry, like James Hill, who was the owner of the Great Northern Railroad, who made his money honestly and never actually went bankrupt ever. And he did all of this with no land grants. He was just smart, taking goods that came in from China across the Pacific Ocean and bringing them to the East Coast and selling them on the East Coast, and then bringing goods from the East Coast over to the Pacific and selling them in China. And he made a lot of money that way. I think it's important when I do kind of bring this out there, it's just to help you realize that they weren't all this way. But when you step back from this, you're going to see our country connected in a way it never has been before, whether it was by James Hill and the Great Northern, or by Cornelius Vanderbilt, or any of the other robber barons that are out there. This connected country that we have is going to allow us to sell more goods to more people at lower prices than ever before, and that's going to help us become economically powerful.